Spooktober's here, and with every dusk, Eerie Instants unveils a new tale. 31 days, 31 stories. Hit subscribe and journey into the unknown with us. In the heart of Halloween Hollow, a town cloaked in perpetual darkness and enigmatic charm, Emily ventured into a world where eerie lanterns cast grotesque shadows upon cobblestone streets. The ominous air hung heavy with anticipation as Halloween night approached. Emily had always been enamored with the macabre, and this year she was determined to find the perfect costume. Emily's quest led her to a quaint second-hand store, its faded sign bearing the name Whispers of the Past. The shop was a peculiar place, hidden away in a narrow alley, its dimly lit windows showcasing curious relics of forgotten eras. Entering the store, Emily's eyes widened with wonder. Shelves were cluttered with oddities, antique dolls, tarnished mirrors, and dusty books. She meandered deeper into the labyrinthine aisles, running her fingers along ancient trinkets and breathing in the scent of musty history. And then, in a corner of the store, she saw it, an ornate costume that beckoned to her. It was a masterpiece of dark enchantment, a rat queen's attire, resplendent with sinister elegance. Deep burgundy velvet, adorned with obsidian lace, and a tarnished crown that bore the weight of forgotten kingdoms. Emily reached out to touch the cursed garment. Her fingers tingled as if charged with electricity, but she couldn't pull away. The costume seemed to whisper secrets of forgotten power, promising her the allure of darkness. She had to have it. Ignoring the shopkeeper's cryptic warnings, Emily purchased the Rat Queen costume, her heart racing with exhilaration. Halloween night was upon her, and she couldn't resist the temptation to don the cursed attire. As twilight descended and the moon cast an eerie glow over Halloween Hollow, Emily stood before a tarnished mirror in her dimly lit room. Her reflection morphed, her features distorting into something both mesmerizing and sinister. She felt an irresistible force beckoning her to complete the transformation. With trembling hands, Emily donned the Rat Queen costume. The fabric clung to her like a second skin, and a shiver raced down her spine as she fastened the tarnished crown upon her head. It was done. As the clock struck midnight, the transformation was complete. Emily, now the Rat Queen, felt an intoxicating surge of power coursing through her veins. Her body had become a conduit for the sinister forces that whispered in the costume's dark threads. From the shadows of her room, she extended her hand, and at her command, the rats of Halloween Hollow answered. They swarmed to her, a relentless army of darkness, their red eyes glowing with malevolence. Emily's power over them was absolute. Beneath the veil of night, she unleashed chaos upon the town. Rats flooded the streets, pouring into homes and businesses, leaving terror in their wake. The town's residents screamed and fled in sheer panic, unable to comprehend the nightmare that had descended upon them. As Emily reveled in her newfound dominion, Halloween Hollow descended into Nonium. The town that had once embraced the eerie charm of Halloween was now trapped in a waking nightmare. Emily's friends, Melissa, Jake, and Chris, stood amidst the chaos that had consumed Halloween Hollow. The once familiar streets were now overrun by a relentless sea of rats, their beady eyes glowing eerily in the dim light. The trio exchanged frantic glances, unable to comprehend the horrifying spectacle before them. Melissa's voice quivered as she whispered, "Where's Emily? This can't be happening." Jake clenched his fists, his knuckles turning white. "We have to find her, now." With determination, they began to weave their way through the maze of streets, guided only by the distant echoes of panicked screams and the ever-present gnawing of rat teeth on wood and concrete. They reached Emily's house, its windows shattered and doors ajar. Melissa gasped, clutching her chest. Oh, no. Her house. Chris, his face etched with fear, led the way inside. The interior was a scene of destruction, furniture toppled, and rat droppings scattered across the floor. "Emily, where are you?" He called out, his voice quivering, but there was no response, only the faint scratching of claws in the distance. They followed the sound through the dimly lit house, their footsteps echoing in the eerie silence. In the living room, they found a grotesque sight. Emily, clad in the Rat Queen costume, stood among a swirling vortex of rats, her eyes devoid of humanity. She raised her arms, and the rats obeyed her every command, moving as one grotesque entity. Melissa's voice trembled as she stepped forward. "Emily, it's us, your friends." Emily's gaze turned towards them, and a wicked smile twisted her face. "Friends? I have no need for friends when I have an army." Jake, desperation in his eyes, tried to reason with her. "Emily, this isn't you. You're not like this." But Emily's laughter was chilling. "I've never felt more alive." With a wave of her hand, the rats lunged at them, a sea of furry bodies with sharp, gnashing teeth. Melissa, Jake, and Chris fought back with whatever they could find: chairs, broomsticks, and even their bare hands. The battle raged on, the friends struggling to fend off the relentless assault. Rat tails whipped through the air, and Melissa's arm bore deep scratches. Chris stumbled, overwhelmed by the sheer number of rats, but they fought on, driven by their determination to save their friend. As they battled the horde, they could see glimpses of the Emily they once knew buried beneath the malevolent exterior. Her eyes occasionally flickered with recognition, but the curse held her in its grip, preventing her from breaking free. The friends fought with every ounce of strength they had, but the rats seemed endless. It was a battle of wills and endurance, with the fate of Halloween Hollow hanging in the balance. With each passing moment, the battle in Emily's living room grew more desperate. The relentless swarm of rats continued to pour in through the shattered windows and doorways, their red eyes gleaming with malevolence. Melissa, her face streaked with blood and tears, swung a chair wildly, smashing a group of rats as they lunged towards her. "We can't give up," she gasped, her voice strained. "We have to save her." Jake, his body battered and bruised, nodded in grim determination. "She's in there somewhere. We have to break the curse." Chris, struggling to stand after a particularly vicious rat attack, gritted his teeth. "If we can just get to her, maybe we can snap her out of it." But the relentless tide of rats seemed unstoppable, and the room had become a battlefield of chaos and despair. It felt like an eternity had passed when a stroke of desperate inspiration hit Jake. "Use the fire," he shouted, pointing to the fireplace. "Maybe fire can drive them away." With renewed hope, the friends rallied around the fireplace. They grabbed logs, paper, and whatever flammable material they could find. Melissa struck a match, igniting the makeshift torch. Flames erupted, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The rats, sensitive to the threat of fire, began to retreat, their ranks thinning as they scrambled for escape. Emily, still in the cursed costume, recoiled from the flames, her control over the rats weakening. Seeing their chance, Melissa, Jake, and Chris closed in on Emily. They could see the fear and confusion in her eyes as the curse's grip waned. "Emily, it's us," Melissa implored, her voice shaking. "Fight it." Emily's struggle was evident. the dark power of the Rat Queen costume battling her own will. With a final surge of determination, she tore the cursed crown from her head, casting it aside. The remaining rats scattered, fleeing the room. The curse broken, Emily fell to her knees, gasping for breath. Her friends rushed to her side, their relief palpable. "You did it," Chris whispered, his voice filled with gratitude. But Emily's eyes were haunted as she looked at them. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean." Before she could finish, a sense of unease filled the room. The rats that had fled now returned, their numbers swelling once more. The cursed crown, discarded but not defeated, lay on the floor, emanating a sinister aura. It was a cruel twist of fate. The curse, once broken, had found a new host, the Rat Queen costume itself. With a chilling collective intelligence, the rats advanced, surrounding Emily and her friends. They fought valiantly, but the relentless onslaught was too much. The rats overwhelmed them, their razor-sharp teeth sinking into flesh, their red eyes glowing with malevolence. In their final moments, the friends locked eyes with Emily, who was powerless to save them. As the room filled with darkness, the legacy of the Rat Queen lived on. Halloween Hollow remained forever haunted, its streets echoing with the chilling tale of a cursed costume, a battle against darkness, and the tragic end of friendships lost to the macabre.